Hey guys, it's your APTV Orlando correspondent Tori Kravitz here with Mike from the Devil Wears Prada and special guest Millie. How are you guys doing?
We are doing wonderfully, thank you.
Last day of this tour you're on right now with The Day to Remember, Falling in a Verse, and Papa Roach. It's all bands that have been around for quite a while. So how is the dynamic on this tour a little bit different, having veterans of the scene versus if you did have more newcomers on a lineup?
It's interesting having bands that aren't around like 3 or 4 years, especially when you think about like Warped Tour and you have a lot of young bands and whatnot. As we're getting older and saltier and more jaded, it's nice to deal with proper crews, and the production on the tour is absolutely insane, so you definitely have to have your head in the right spot and stay out of people's way. Day to Remember's got 15 years, we're at 13. Papa Roach is at 27 or something, or 25 I think, so yeah, it's all cool, it's all tight, and everything's been coming along great. Hopefully rain doesn't ruin today.
I know, let's hope. And we have given some credit to the other bands, but I mean you guys as well have been around for over 10 years. So what do you attribute to your long-term success? Because a lot of bands in your genre don't really get to stick around as long as you guys have over the last few years.
It sometimes seems detrimental to bands for lineup changes and member changes, but for us, I think it's worked in only the most positive ways as far as making sure that we're all in the same headspace, and it's definitely kind of molded and transformed us to where we're all like-minded and wanting to make new music, better music, never being satisfied with where we're at. And just that kind of moral similarity between us is very important. Yeah, for us, we're the same dudes. We get along off the stage and on the stage pretty well, and I think that plays that camaraderie plays a bigger role than a lot of people realize.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you gotta be all in the same headspace at the same time, you know, to achieve the same goals. And also, what do you think from like a fan perspective, do you think has made the Devil Wears Prada different, that has kept the fans sticking around as long as they have?
Objectively, I would like to think it's due to, you know, what we try to do with our music, the fact that we're never content to try to parody ourselves, and that's definitely been a big point of the conversation as we're writing new songs now, is like we don't want to just write Transit Blues again, our last record, so I don't know, there are a lot of really, really great bands that we always grew up listening and loving, and when they just kept making the same record over and over, it was like, well, I already heard it, I already heard this, I know what you're doing with the song, so we're trying to avoid that, and hopefully the twists and turns are intriguing to fans as it is to us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure it's an interesting like dynamic too, because you do have those fans that always want to hear like the same as the last thing, and then you do have those other fans that are sticking around for the new stuff too, so I guess like striking a balance between that is kind of tough, huh?
Yeah, definitely, and we've been kind of forceful with it and kind of mean about it to some extent, because we're always so vocal and that we don't like our older material, and then some people kind of feel offended, like, well, your old material means a lot to me, how come? Yeah, so it is a weird kind of chord to strike.
And I'm sure there's a lot of newer bands that are coming up right now that really do look up to you guys and the longevity that you've had. So what steps do you think that new bands can take early on in their career to sort of lock in their futures a little bit?
To me, it sounds so like Neanderthal, but for me it's just giving a shit about your music. Like it's just come to a point where it seems so transparent as far as bands that want to have a certain look versus bands that want to have a certain sound.
Exactly.
And I don't know, for us, like the most important thing, and something I've always said, is like I'll be playing guitar whether it's on a stage or not for the rest of my life, because I just enjoy it. And it's a shame seeing bands that don't have so much sort of like revelry or that like kind of reverence and love for their instrument. Yeah. That speaks for itself, rather than a band that looks, you know, pretty on stage. Yeah. So yeah, I just encourage, if you're going to play in a band, you ought to be a musician, probably. So
and I feel like that's also a little bit of a generational thing, because when you guys started, you didn't have Instagram and Twitter wasn't a big thing, and now it seems like social media kind of plays a role in the fact that the aesthetic has become such a big part of music.
It is. It's pinnacle by all means. As far as bands need to have a certain look, and bands need to build their brand and their fan base and whatnot. And it's not to say that we don't do that or that one is wrong to do that, but I would hope you can at least play your songs before you achieve a lot of followers on Instagram and all that jargon.
Yeah, a little bit of both. A little bit of both.
A little bit of both, yeah.
Yeah, and kind of in the same realm. I mean, considering when you guys started to now, the music scene and the industry has changed so much. If you think about just the fact that Warped Tour is ending this year and social media strategies, I mean, there's no MySpace anymore. So where do you see the scene heading within the next couple of years, and how is the Devil Wears Prada planning to evolve to stay with those trends?
It's very much moving more towards festivals, and the same as what you see or how it has been in Europe for so long. And when you see what's the one right here in Jackson? We got rained out when we were supposed to play it. Yep. Yeah. Welcome to Rockville, Carolina Rebellion, Rock on the Range in Columbus, Ohio. Yeah. I think a lot of those are going to be making a stronger presence, and I think unfortunately, it kind of weeds out some of the smaller bands kind of coming up, because Warped Tour was always so detrimental and did a good job of bringing up small bands to a higher plane. But I also look forward to it. I think we're going to have a better opportunity as far as club touring in the summer, because you couldn't tour in a club with Warped Tour because everyone was spending all their money at Warped Tour, so you couldn't go to a show. As far as the music scene itself, I would love to see it just go back to something more musical and less. I see a lot of metalcore as boldly just being a boy band these days, and it's the same, like the member lineup and like the creation of it and the fabrication of it.
I mean, even the haircuts, man.
Straight up. So I would love to see some smaller bands that are really making good heavy music start to become more recognized, and I think that integrity is going to start speaking for itself as the fashion declines.
Yeah, and I think, like what you were saying, with Warped Tour giving so many smaller bands an opportunity, I think we're really going to start seeing those smaller bands hustle a lot more. So that'll be exciting to see who can rise to the top. And so what do you guys have coming up now that this tour is wrapping up? What else can fans look forward to?
We're really not doing much of anything besides writing. She just yawned as if to answer that question. We're going to go to the UK for Slam Dunk Festival. There's 3 of those, so we just hop overseas real quick. I haven't said it yet, but we have a cover song coming out, a new cover song. So hopefully May, release our new cover. Slowly writing through the year, and then we'll be back on the road later in the fall.
Sounds perfect. Well, thank you so much for hanging out. It's great talking to you, and Millie, you as well. Thank you for being so good. And everybody watching, if you want to see more interviews like this, make sure you subscribe to APTV, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.